In this video, we're going to be replacing the rear shock on this 2015 Hyundai Sonata. To remove the rear wheel, it's going to be a 21 millimeter. Take the lug nuts off now. So now before we start removing our shock, what we're going to do, because we're on a lift, is put a pull jack and put a little upward pressure on our rear suspension. Not much, just enough to hold things in place. So once we start to undo from the top, we can lower this and remove our shock. So our rear shock here, if you look straight up into your wheel well, you'll see two bolts. They're going to be 14 millimeter. We're going to remove those now. So the bottom bolt here is going to be a 19 millimeter, and the nut on the other side is also going to be a 19 millimeter. We're going to back up the other side with a wrench and an impact on this side. Take that bolt out. All right, so now we can take our bottom bolt out. And from here, we should be able to lower our suspension on this side. Okay, so we've taken our bottom bolt out. Still don't have enough clearance to get the bottom of our shock out. So what we're gonna have to do is come up top where this plate is. We're actually gonna pull the shock into compression. While we have that compressed, we're going to pull our shock up and out. And remove it from the vehicle. So now here's our original shock. Here's our replacement. We're going to have to transfer this whole bracket and top piece onto here. So we can start by removing this nylon lock nut. Set that aside, and now we can remove this nut here. All right, to remove this nut here, it's going to be a 17 millimeter. We're going to try and see if we can get it to come off with an impact. And we can see the whole shock itself is spinning. Okay, we've gotten it to loosen up a little bit. But what's happening is this center bar is spinning. So we're going to have to use a 17 millimeter wrench and or a pair of locking pliers out here to stop the center from spinning. Okay, so we have a pair of locking pliers. We'll lock that center. 17 millimeter wrench. We'll just back that nut off the rest of the way while holding the center from spinning. Now we can take off the sleeve. So now to build our new shock, we're going to pull this forward. We're going to slide our sleeve. Inside here there's a bumper. All right, so we're going to aim our new shock through that bumper and into place. Now on this side here, we're going to put our new nylon lock nut on. We're going to only be able to thread it on until the nylon catches. Then we're going to have to lock down the center pin again. So we're going to do that. And 17 millimeter wrench. Tighten down the nut. Okay. Now we have our nylon lock nut in place, snugged up. We're going to get just another twist on that. We're going to take our locking pliers and just reposition them. Okay. Now we're ready to go to the vehicle. Okay, now we can take our shock and put it into the vehicle. But if you remember, our old one was a little bit too tall to come out. So what we're going to do is feed it underneath the brake line, up into the top, and we're still too tall to get into our control arm here. So what we're going to do is push up on the bottom and compress the shock and slide it into position. From here, we can slide our bottom bolt through, loosely thread on the other nut to hold it in place. And now we can work up top. All right, so now what we need to do is compress our suspension. We can try and pull up here and get that shock all the way extended, and that is all the way extended. So now what we need to do is take our pole jack, compress our suspension. Basically, this is just going to put it back where it needs to be. We were a little bit drooped down. Okay, we have one side touching, which is the front side here. So we're going to thread in a bolt to start. And we're going to just make sure the other side is lined up. And you can see it's still loose up here. We're just going to compress that a little bit more so it sits in just like that. And now we'll put this bolt into place. Now we'll snug these up. And with our suspension under compression, we'll come back and torque everything down. All right, so with our rear suspension under compression or under weight, we're going to torque down our lower bolt here. It's going to be 110 foot-pounds. And our top two bolts are going to be 47 foot-pounds. And now with our top and bottom bolts on our shock torqued down, we can release pressure on our suspension. Okay, so now we can install our wheel. Okay, so while the vehicle's in the air, we're just going to snug up these lug nuts, and then we'll drop it down and torque them. We're going to even do this in a crisscross pattern because we want this wheel to go on flat. So now with our vehicle on the ground, we can go around in a crisscross pattern and torque our lug nuts down to 79 foot-pounds.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.